Have you ever thought about your family name? What if it held not just a few generations, but the weight of centuries, of continents, of entire empires? Well, today we're diving into a story just like that. A whole journey of identity, all locked inside a single name, Sami. It kind of makes you ask that classic question, right? What's really in a name? Is it just a word we use to identify ourselves? Or could it be something more? A link to a past that's bigger than we can even imagine? Well, for this one family, the answer is found in a 1,400-year journey, and it's all recorded on a 200-year-old scroll. I mean, think about that. The key to this whole thing is a document called a Shajra Nasab, which is basically a handwritten family tree. And this specific one, written way back in 1796, isn't just a list of names. Oh no. It's a chronicle of an absolutely epic journey of blood, faith, and identity for the family we now know as Sami. Okay, so let's start with the scroll and what it tells us. First up, the name itself, Sami. What does it actually mean? It's pretty fascinating, actually. The name has this dual meaning. On one hand, in Arabic, Sami means elevated or exalted. But it's not just a word, it's also a specific title, a formal name given to the family by a spiritual leader. And this was to honor their really deep Semitic roots, a lineage that goes way, way back to the ancient Middle East. So you've got both a description and a formal recognition rolled into one. But that's just the name. The scroll makes a much bigger claim. I mean, a truly extraordinary one. Get this. The scroll lays out a documented bloodline that links this family, generation by generation, directly back to the Prophet Muhammad. That is a huge deal. It's what's known as a Sayyid lineage, and it carries this immense spiritual and social weight. And this claim isn't just thrown out there. It's built on a very specific three-part identity. Think of this three-part identity like a really detailed genealogical signature. First, you have Sayyid, which is the claim of direct descent from the Prophet. Then there's Nagwi, which gets even more specific. It tells you the exact branch of the family tree, tracing it through the 10th Imam, Ali al-Hadi. And finally, Bukhari. That's a geographical stamp, pinpointing where they lived for a time, the city of Bukhara. See how each part adds another layer of detail? It's incredibly precise. Okay, so when you make a claim that big, you're going to need some proof, right? And that's what's so cool about this 1796 document. It doesn't just say it, it lays out 5 distinct pieces of proof. You can think of them like historical fingerprints, pointing to a lineage that was real and recognized by everyone around them. Let's walk through these 5 points. First, the family had this formal, inherited title, throne holder, or Sajada Nishin. This meant they were the official custodians of a spiritual center. That's a big responsibility. Second, they were the keepers of a sacred relic. Again, you don't give something like that to just anyone. It shows immense trust. Third, the scroll points to official land grants from the Mughal Empire. So we're talking about government-level verification of their status. Fourth, other people at the time referred to their ancestors with the honorific Sayyidi, a special title used only for recognized Sayyids. And finally, and this one is pretty cool, there's a market in the city of Sialkot named after the family's shrine. I mean, come on, you don't get a market named after you if people are questioning your family's history. And this is where it all comes together. The document itself puts it perfectly. It says, if you take any one of these pieces by itself, it's suggestive. But when you put them all together, it's compelling. It really paints a picture of a family whose status wasn't just claimed, but was verified, recognized, and lived out for generations. All right, so the claim is established, the proof is there. The next big question is, how? How did this bloodline get all the way from the Arabian Peninsula to where they are now in Pakistan? It's time to trace this incredible 1,400-year journey. Wow, I mean, just look at this map. The scale of this migration is staggering. This isn't just packing up and moving to a new town. This is a 1,400-year odyssey. It crosses empires, mountain ranges, vast deserts. The whole thing starts in Mecca and ends centuries and centuries later in Sialkot. So let's break down how a journey this immense actually happened. So the story kicks off in 7th century Mecca. But by the 9th century, due to persecution, the family is forced to move east, from Medina all the way to Iraq. And this is a key moment because it's when the Naqvi line begins to scatter. Fast forward a few hundred years, and they've made their way to Bukhara in Central Asia. That's where they get the Bukhari part of their name. From there, they cross into South Asia and finally put down roots in Punjab. The whole epic journey really culminates in the 1700s when they set up their family shrine in Sialkot, and it's still there today.
But this isn't just a story about the distant past. It's not some dusty old history lesson. This lineage connects directly to our time, to the 20th century, and it really comes to life through two key people.
Okay, so on one side, you have Sayyid Norwali Shah. He's the throne holder we talked about, the one who finally completed that massive migration around 1784 and set up the family shrine in Sialkot. Now let's jump forward a few generations. On the other side is his great-grandson, Hazrat Misbah-ud-Din Sami. He is the one who officially received the title Sami. And here's a really fascinating piece of modern history. He went on to become the spiritual teacher for Pakistan's only Nobel Prize winner in science, Dr. Abdus Salam. Incredible, right? So you might be thinking, why go through all this trouble translating and preserving a 200-year-old document? Well, the reason is actually really simple and incredibly powerful. It was all done for one reason: to pass this story of lineage, of faith, of migration, and identity down to the next generation, to make sure they never forget who they are and where they came from. And the whole document basically culminates in this one incredibly powerful line, spoken directly to the family's younger generation. This sentence just collapses 1,400 years of history into a single moment. It connects them, right now, to that very first generation in Mecca. It's just this profound statement of continuity.
And that really brings us to a final thought, doesn't it? The Sami family story is obviously very specific and unique. But the theme? That's universal. It really makes you stop and think, how much of my own story, how much of your story, is written in the journeys of the people who came before us?